We learned that the lower levels of Drozana Station seem to be home to a spectral menace, the Davidians. These parasitic species exist out of phase with most of the universe and feed off the neural energies of humanoid life, draining them of their essence, their life force. Generally, they've avoided interaction with this plane of existence. However, we've seen repeated incursions from them in this area of space linked to heightened triolic wave activity.
It's clear the Davidians are more of a problem than we initially thought. We know they're in the neutral zone. Now we know they're on Drozana Station as well, and according to Zamara, there have already been deaths there. In addition, she indicated that the lower levels of the station were a trouble spot. Those levels aren't used as part of the club there, and they haven't been maintained for years, and Ferengi are, of course, quite reticent to put any effort into maintenance that isn't absolutely necessary. That means we don't really know what's down there. Zamara's code should get you access. Take a lift down and check it out. Previous Starfleet encounters with Davidians have indicated that they will create nests around the temporal portals they use, so keep an eye out for anomalies. If we find the portal, we'll know where and when the Davidians are feeding. Oh, and I expect it to be messy down there. Don't forget to take an emergency beacon.
This is a problem we'll have to identify because it's allowing them to feed off of people at any time, rather than the extensive methods the Davidians employed in 1893 and 2368. Armed with a synchronic proton distortion weapon, we're tasked with delving into the depths of this dilapidated station to find out as much as we can. Also, I advise watching this episode in the dark. Upon descending in the cargo lift to the depths of Drozana, Temet detects triolic and temporal energies consistent with previous encounters. She states that staying too long may pose health risks, as triolic waves are a danger to most life. On an equally concerning note, if the energies intensify, we're unlikely to be able to establish communications or a transporter lock. We equip ourselves with flashlight drones. These little devices float over our shoulder and track our head movement, leaving our hands free, unlike earlier Starfleet flashlights. However, they do have a reputation for being a little bit more unreliable at times. The synchronic proton rifle, as I'm going to call it, is a rather hefty piece of equipment, but apparently it should work wonders against any Davidian threats. As for our environment, lighting is at a bare minimum, with sparks flying from occasional EPS faults and leaking pressure pipes. Chains dangling from the ceiling are likely part of a rudimentary cargo transference system, now long since defunct. The mingle of a creaking station mixed with the flare of damaged circuitry, it creates an ambient blanket as shrouding to the ears as the dark is to the eyes. Enough procrastinating, let's move on. Temet points out that there was an increase in triolic wave activity as we entered this room, but I didn't see anything too unusual. Hopefully the Davidians don't know we're here yet, but all around this room dead consoles and screens emerge from the gloom, and our lights seem far too limited for what they should be in this murk. Well, the most direct route is busted. We'll have to look for an alternative way around, but just then, Cartalian cave spiders, disturbed by our presence, drop on us. They're not much of a threat, but still, I can't say I enjoy knowing that this area may be infested. What are they feeding off of? Oh, shit! You guys saw that, right? There was definitely a Davidian there when that fell. Yeah, triolic activity. Uh-oh. We make a quick scout of the immediate area to confirm that it's safe to proceed, and we find several dead ends. Although, does that matter to a being that can phase shift? Oh, I hear something. Aha! There's another one. It definitely sees us, but it's leaving. Looks like we got a burned out warp core. Would this have been one of the station's reactors? Doubtful. So we've circled back to the corridor with the collapsed grate to make sure we're not being followed. At least one Davidian knows we're down here now, and it looks like they tried to drop this on us. I mean, it could have just all been coincidence that it fell at just that time, but I doubt it, and that's troubling because it means now they can physically interact with the world around them as well. Nope, more spiders. These look to be a different breed than before, but still equally squishable. Thing is, critters like this do dwell in dark and seldom trod places like Jeffries tubes, but they're going to be needing a source of food. Are they scurrying up to the surface of Drozana to get stuff and then coming back down here? Or is there something down here they're feeding off of? Either way, sounds like there's more of them lurking nearby. Well, that's a comforting sound, although strangely eerie. A lone computer bank whirring away to no one in the dark, performing a task it was set to do decades ago for no one left who cares. Well, I guess we're going this way before the door changes its mind. Hello. What's that? More Davidians? Ah, and these ones see us. Fight back. Well, they certainly don't seem to like this proton rifle, although our standard sidearms seem to do just as well against them. Tarsi suspects that their increased aggression may be a sign that we're getting closer to their nest, and that we're only going to encounter more the deeper we go. We've located a secondary lift, however, someone has left this system on an emergency lockdown that we'll need to disengage. We backtrack to a console and find the override. Easy enough, but Skavrin notes that it all looks recent. Why would someone need to lock this lift down? It doesn't seem to have stopped the Davidians. Right, we continue downwards. However, the lift grinds to a stop and we disembark above our intended destination. The lift was halted at Waste and Environmental Control. Skavrin notes that we're going to have to bypass some systems here to return the lift to functionality. Wait a minute. That door was open a minute ago. Why did it close when we got here? I think I've unlocked it now. Let's have a look. We step into what looks like an air circulation system and also disturb some more spiders. Oh, sorry fellas, but if you're going to attack us, we're going to have to squish you. Okay, what are those noises and why have they started when we came in here? The doors? The doors are locked. The doors are locked. Skavrin confirms that we've been locked out and the key is a kiloquad long. We try to contact our ship, but the signal breaks up and then goes quiet. Well, it looks like Temet was right. Our signal's gone. We're on our own. It looks like moisture's dripping from these fans, probably condensation from the air, floors above where people are talking, drinking and gathering. Nearby we can find a large pad of a fairly modern design at odds with the surrounding antiquated technology.
Log entry supplemental. The strange power fluctuations are related to the problems in the power subsystems on the upper decks. So I'm looking into the possibility of feedback damage or spikes in the environmental systems. It could take some time to find the problem and make repairs, though. Particularly if I need to use the replicators to create replacement components. Balan is loath to allow use of the replicators for anything more than blood wine and Gramillion sand peas. I mean, this is dirty, uncomfortable, and thoroughly disagreeable work. Naturally, as soon as the job involves mucking around in the recycled atmosphere and waste processing, I get the short straw.
Sounds like one of the Ferengi repair teams working for Balan. He didn't sound too concerned with the Davidians, so I'm guessing he didn't notice anything was amiss. Yet. We track down one of the terminals where Scaverin thinks we can reroute power to the lift, and we get it operational. As if on cue, however, Davidians phase in behind us and attack. With them driven off, we make a run for the next repair, now fully aware that the Davidians are on us. However, something catches my eye. A Federation non-com uniform. An engineer lies dead down here, a fairly recent death too by the look of it. It must have been a repair team, either one requested by Balan or someone merely trying to do them a favour. We'll have to note their details and return when we've secured the station. Okay, well it seems like the upper walkways are clear. Let's move on. This looks like we're entering environmental control. I guess these are monitor stations for Drozana, now all offline as they lie unused for ages. You can still hear the power, and a screen at the back indicates that a repair team at some stage managed to get this room operational again. But look at all those chairs. This must have been a busy place once. Davidians, ambush! Quickly now, while they've been driven off, let's get Scaverin's repair done and move on.
Barnacle, Barnacle, I see you. Barnacle, Barnacle, what will you do?
Input, guys? Okay. That's not a Davidian. Whatever we heard, that's not a Davidian. So there's someone else down here, messing with us. And this looks like either a coolant leak or a plasma leak. Either way, it looks dangerous. So let's just not get hit by it, yeah? This was not a coincidence. This leak, the lockout on the doors and the lift stopping here, it's all a trap to capture people who come down here and isolate them on this floor to be killed. We pass a second conveniently leaking hazard to find another repair point. Fully expecting Davidians again, we ready ourselves for their attack. Oh. Hello, do you mind stepping? He's got a rifle. Wait, what? I didn't vaporize him. He just vanished. Spread out, he could be cloaked. Or phase shifting like the Davidians somehow? He's not... I don't see where he's gone. And I didn't see a transporter kick in. Plus, with the interference, we can't transport down here anyway. Can we? Let's just get back to the main chamber.
Barnacle, Barnacle, dress I red. Barnacle, Barnacle, soon you'll be dead.
Okay, that needs to stop. If you see any speakers, shoot them out.
Hello? Is someone out there? Please, help me.
The frack? That came from that door terminal. Watch my back, guys. Okay, let's see. It's a two-way comm. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Is someone there?
Captain Hale, who's this?
Please, you have to help me. I came down here to check on one of the atmosphere regulators, and someone shot me.
Who shot you? Although I think we might have run into him.
I'm not sure. I didn't get a good look. He was so fast. Please, you have to find a way to open this door and get me out of here.
Okay, I can trigger a manual override from here, but the lever's on your side. Can you...
Prophet, no. He's back. No. Ah!
Hello? Hello? Are you still there? Damn it. Alright, let's see. Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, now it opens. Alright, sweep the room, guys. There's our engineer. Don't get distracted just yet. That's the terminal she must have been at. There's no one else in here. This room's empty. Temet confirms that this lady just died seconds ago, and Tarsi makes the same observations, that there's only one exit to this room and no one else here. Okay, Bazaar, get the door. Everyone else, we're going to do another sweep. Well, either there's something we're not seeing, or our assailants can teleport without a transporter. Maybe the Davidians are in league with him somehow. Alright, that's more power rerouted to the lift. Spiders! How did we miss the spiders? Gave you a jump scare, did it, Bazaar?
Log entry supplemental. I've upgraded a few of the components on this level, including remote overrides for bleed valves on environment controls, hollow emitters to expedite further repairs, and security overrides in case of emergency. I'm starting to suspect that the low-level radiation I've detected on these decks has affected the station inhabitants, and that some are showing signs of transient acute schizophrenia and paranoia. I'll have to maintain contact silence for now, so that they don't interfere while I'm trying to repair the systems. Once I've corrected the problems causing the radiation leaks, we can deal with the symptoms. Log entry supplemental. My work here will take far longer than I originally anticipated. Fortunately, I've engaged a safety interlock on the maintenance lift, so no one will come down here without me knowing about it. I found several program errors that have purged the affected subroutines. The work is much easier now. Soon, everything will be under control.
Well, that's unsettling. Sounds like this maintenance engineer's not a Ferengi, but maybe that individual that we run into. He said he's created numerous remote overrides and installed holo projectors to expedite repairs. Holograms. The engineer is a hologram. It's a hologram. Is a hologram. He began to suspect triolic wave energy had damaged his colleagues and making them paranoid.
They sent you, didn't they? My little Bonniekin? To halt my work and change my program. You'll not survive to perform such trixies. Oh, no. My pretty Bonniekin.
And the Davidians have shown up too. They are working with him. Or at least they're taking advantage of his corrupted programming. So, this hologram isolated himself from his team, shutting down the lifts to conduct his repairs in peace, but his program was corrupted, maybe by the same triolic energies, and he began to repair himself by deleting the damaged subroutines. That drove him insane. And now it's killing anyone who comes down here, because it thinks they're trying to interfere with his work. And the Davidians are just ignoring him because he's a useful deterrent in protecting their nest. We find the mobile emitter of the hologram, so this is how he came down here originally and then installed holo emitters for him to be able to jump around the station with. Temet makes a clever observation that the program's subroutine is the same length as the lockout on the door. Oh, let's try that then and see if it opens up. And bingo was his name. Oh, you know what? No more rhymes. Alright, we've arrived at the computer core levels of the station, and this is the strongest point of triolic wave energy and the most likely nest for the Davidians. Just like the rest of this station, there are many doors that are simply inactive with no way to open, so we'll have to keep searching. If we manage to restore power and unlock the door, however, we'll have our way in. We find ourselves in a large room lined with computers, most of which are offline, although the bare minimum must be in operation to keep this station active. The Geotronic systems are antiquated, and I'm surprised there's even as much functionality as there currently is, but soon we locate a likely looking security terminal. As we approach, however, a swarm of apparitions reveal themselves to attack us as before. Alright, they're down, but man am I getting paranoid about the amount of triolic waves I'm currently being bathed in. We return to the locked door we found earlier, and now begin our long descent into the computer core. I can hear more spiders, and now I can see more dead bodies. I think we've found what they've been feeding on. But wait, these officers, these uniforms are from Hale's timeline, the mid-2260s. He's a recent victim, however, drained of neural energy. The Davidians must be pulling him from the past to 2409, where this station is deserted, and they can feed off of them uninterrupted. This could have dangerous temporal repercussions. Hi. Okay, I think we're getting close. Let's get a move on. Tarsi points out on the way down to the core that 23rd century stations like Trozana and K7 have numerous defensive countermeasures that could be activated to prevent intruders into the computer core. Maybe it might be worth trying to reactivate some of them, if they still work. Well, there's not much left to work with, but I think I've got some things back online. Temet also points out that the Davidians are likely using the station's energy to keep their own nest's gate open, so creating a surge through the grid might do some damage. That might also be worth a try. The room we enter here has more dead 23rd century personnel. The Davidians are pulling so many people from the past to drain their minds and then just leave them to die in this dingy place. Well, it looks like we interrupted their lunch. Good. Well, there we go. I hope that messes them up somewhat. The next floor has field control in it. This might allow us to create an ambient field that forces the Davidians back out of phase with our realm. That is, if it all still works. At least it might mess with their ability to phase out. No Davidians this time, just some very angry spiders once again. Yeah, looks like they're retreating to their nest. Maybe our efforts are forcing them to return? Either way, we need to locate it before we can say for certain how to tackle things down here. Ah, I think we found it. Amid the myriad of smaller Davidians is one of the larger phantasms that we also saw on the Axon. This is a pretty tough opponent, but fortunately our efforts beforehand have softened up the enemy forces in here. Some are occupied fighting the counter-intrusion options, and their ability to evade our fire by phase shifting has been drastically reduced. Amid the corpses of Hale's fellow era officers, we find a tear in time. The Davidians' portal to the 23rd century. Temet is highly concerned at the impact they could be having on the other side, where the technology to even detect them doesn't even exist yet. So far we have recorded no timeline changes, I think, but we need to be certain, and what's more, we don't even know if jumping through will be safe. As much as I want to do something now, we're going to have to just take readings and then reevaluate our next actions. Alright, one thing accomplished at least. Our exact readings of this portal have allowed us to compensate for the distortions it's creating, and now we can beam in and out of here with no issue. Just in time, but we're going to need to take the data we've collected back to K7 for analysis. You see, time is of the essence. Literally, and the powerful computers of the station will compile the info far faster than even the USS Daring. Alright, the portal goes to stardate 2715.6/2265. Strange to think that that's even before Mark Hale even left. The analysis reveals that some form of entangled phase-shifted particles are causing an instability, and that the directed energy can be used to manipulate the aperture. Temet thankfully decodes this for dumb captain speak, and basically when the triolic waves peak, we can hit it with an energy burst that would still send all present back in time to that date. Even a hand phaser could theoretically be modulated to be able to do this. Alright, so that's our game plan. It'll take a bit to make the necessary modifications, but now we have a plan of action. We can now beam back into nearer the portal as well, so we won't have to retrace our steps next time, and then once through, we can deal with the Davidians. Now, I need to call this in to Franklin Drake in section 31. Let's look for a quiet spot and give him our report and suggestions.
Now that we know the Davidians have a portal to the past and approximately where they are focusing their attention, I see no other choice than to send you and your crew back there to stop them before they kill again. I'll be honest, time travel is a tool. At times, it is a useful one. I know Starfleet has hundreds of regulations about temporal incursions, but my job is to preserve the Federation, not make Admiral Quinn and the rest of the suits at Starfleet Command happy. If we break a few rules along the way, so be it. I need to make some preparations before you can proceed. I will contact you when the time is right. Drake out.
I wonder how much he knows about Mark Hale's past. Probably everything, which is why he's sending a 23rd century native back through. Still, I can't say that that wasn't a stressful experience. The malfunctioning hologram, the Davidians, all the dead. The Drozana is a disaster site in my opinion. But we do need to find out more. We could close the portal, but without knowing more about its formation, it could just happen again. Either way, we need to operate quickly, and if we're going to go back in time, quietly too. It's going to be strange, like a trip back to a hometown. Still, that'll be for the next part of the story series, and I hope you'll join me for that as we return to a familiar time in the ever-evolving narrative of Star Trek Online. I've been Rick. Thanks again for watching this, and I'll see you again later. Goodbye.